in business in India, and file annual activity certificate, whether you have restricted yourself to activity what you are doing basically, or are you simply violating doing business, doing activity other than what you are supposed to do. Then file 49C, this is the, I think, the most critical, I think, part and risk to every liaison office. If you read the form, I think not a single liaison office will be spared. All of them will be liable to pay tax in India, except for 100% genuine cases, where they are really doing a market survey or a market research. Otherwise, most of them are supplying goods from their head office to Indian companies. They are mentioning who are the top 5 parties from whom your head office has sent material for last 3 years. Give details of your sales, your purchases, whom you have met. Everything is there in that form. It's one of the most dangerous forms. Luckily, till now, Foreign Tax Division has not taken any action on most of them based on this 49C. I don't know why, but it's a very dangerous situation. Now, recently, in view of the Companies Act, you need to register with ROC within 30 days. So, the new form, which was originally 52, every year you are supposed to file annual return, has changed to FC2. And somebody had asked question, the approval for RBI is for how long? This year, approval is granted for 3 years and then renewed by DLE. Yeah. Correct.
That's also a point that date of submission of AAC.
Right.
So how will you cope with that, because that is filed on 30th of September?
Yeah, I agree. In fact, Chamber has filed a memorandum before the Director General of Income Tax. If you see the section and the rule, it says should be filed electronically, right? But there is no electronic form on the website, even till today. It's more than 2 years now. We went and informed the DG that there is no thing. He said, no, you send by registered post, right? So we send all the forms by registered post, 49C, and then we asked them, what have you done? He says, see, all these are lying here. Nobody has even touched them. So we are not trying to be aggressive because it's more of a problem for our customer. The day they start looking on those forms, I think we are going to have lots of notices where fee attribution will take place. They will say certain sales would be taxable in India. They will attribute an enormous percent of income in India. So we are also keeping silent, not educating the tax authorities on this issue. But your point is very valid. 30th May is for AAC. So what we are doing is, we are not filing AAC on 30th May. We say that would be submitted in due course. We are just simply...
is it that once we file AAC, we need to resubmit the 49C form?
We don't, we just give reference to that old form filed and then say this is the form in lieu of that. Okay. As regards the branch office, what they can do, they can genuinely do trading activity, import and export of goods, render professional or consultancy services, research work in which the parent is engaged, promote technical financial collaboration, acting as a buying or a selling agent, rendering service in IT and software, rendering technical support to products supplied by parent or group company. There is no local trading. I mean, there are questions asked by foreign entities, can I buy in India and sell in India? Strictly speaking, it is not permitted. You can either do import, export, or buy from India and export. But 100% buying in India and 100% selling is not permitted. Then a foreign airline or a shipping company. Most of the foreign airline and shipping company either represented by a GSA or recent trend, almost all are opening their own offices in India. Almost all are opening a wholly owned subsidiary in India or a branch office in India. So they are permitted as a branch office. Yeah.
Branch office, if you have any other territories also,
Yeah.
how you consider it?
Okay, I'll come to that. How to open and what are the compliance? I was
We have a branch office all over India. That's what you said.
Yeah, I have a slide on that. Anyway, so let me just give answer to your point. I mean, I don't know, it may be in the later slides. The idea is that you can open generally up to 4 liaison offices or branch office. RBI does not have any restriction. That is in each region, north, south, east, west. But when you open say 2 offices in Bombay, or 1 office in Bombay, 1 in Pune, or 1 office in Delhi and 1 in say UP, they will not allow you unless you can have a very strong reason to say that I need 2 offices, 1 in Bombay and Pune. Generally they allow up to 4 offices, very on a normal case basis, but above 4. But I would not recommend for the reason you are going to invite income tax problem basically if you have a liaison office. I had a client which had 400 employees as a liaison office and had 9 offices all over the country, a very big Japanese conglomerate. But they were operating until 1996. Now from 97 they opened their wholly owned subsidiaries now. But in spite of almost 5 years of our convincing, it's a great risk, you should not do it. I mean, they opened up wholly owned subsidiaries. But they had 9 offices with 300 employees in India.
Foreign airlines, that could be an exception.
No, foreign airlines, most of them are through GSA. Most of them are through GSA. They only have 1 or 2 representatives who are posted in the GSA office. And they collect the money and monitor the payments and other activities. Huh?
Self-handling.
Yeah, generally it's through GSA, most of them through GSA.
Self-handling, then.
I didn't get
Through
it.
the GS.
Yeah, you can do it, there is no problem. It's permitted under a branch office category. And under tax treaty, they are not taxable in India. So they have no issue at all. Most of them have no issue at all, even though they open a branch office.
Any number, sir?
Yeah, generally they don't restrict. But see, any number means they will open in the city where their operations are there. If cargo operations are there, see what they do, main income is what cargo and passenger. So wherever they are concentrated, they will open. Nobody will spend extra money and open so many offices. Okay, for example, if my head office is dealing in steel and I open a branch office, I have to mention what product I am going to deal in. I can't simply say that my head office dealing in steel, but I am going to deal in plastics or I am going to deal in some other product. They won't allow you to deal in other products. If you want to deal, you have to take a prior permission stating that my head office also started a new division for a new product and hence I wish to do it. In that case, they will allow you. The expenditure has to be out of income earned. If, for example, branch has earned any income outside India, they need to repatriate. You can't say that, okay, my HO will collect the money. Money has to come to India, foreign exchange has to come to India, and ultimately you have to show the profits in India. So these are the deadline, basically same for branch office, 30th September for annual activity certificate, 31st December for FC2. Retail trading, manufacturing, processing not permitted for a branch office. Document file, how do you open it? It's very simple documentation. Those network criteria have to be complied with. Profitability criteria, registration, incorporation certificates, and connected documents and KYC documents have to be given. It's not very laborious process. Along with form FNC to your AD. AD will do a due diligence, and after due diligence, they will recommend it and send it forward to RBI in foreign exchange division in central office. Having reviewed it, RBI will give you the permission. Same way for banks, it is DBOD, insurance, it is IRDA. Companies in telecom, finance sector, they require consent from Department of Economic Affairs. And why? Because this is the sector where 100% FDI is not permitted. And that's how it goes to government. And government means, as I informed you, Department of Economic Affairs for everything. Okay, somebody said about additional LOMBO. So this is the criteria you need to submit to RBI to open new offices. File form FNC but without the documentation. Simply give the reason. One office has to be identified as a nodal office because if you have 4 offices, all 4 cannot be the main office. One of them has to be a nodal office. Nodal office has to receive the remittance from the head office and then distribute it to various liaison branch offices. It cannot simply, everybody cannot receive independent remittances from HO. One nodal office has to receive it and then it has to be forwarded.
If they receive, is there a criteria problem?
No,
Because ultimately it is a foreign currency, and what happens typically, all branches or location have different divisions attached.
correct.
So there would not be one, the nodal agency over here may have one product, but the company may be multi-product and the other location.
Agreed. Each has a profit center concept in their head
So
office
each
also.
one will receive directly.
But they don't permit. They restrict yourself and even your AD bank will not permit you to receive so many remittances at different locations. They want it centralized. In fact, in few cases we have got an RBI remark also. There is no compounding in this situation, but they said you cannot do this.
We had a case where they did not object.
No, but it is very specifically informed by RBI to them. It has to be one nodal office. They can only
So
control.
nodal office, right?
Yeah, but then there is no meaning of nodal office.
But multiple
No,
direct
it
receipts.
is gone unnoticed, but it is not permitted.
Sir, if I want to open two offices in the same zone, one in non-sales zone, one in sales zone, can I do that?
I feel it could be possible. Okay. Additional activity I have done. Extension. Basically for two categories, NBFC and construction sector, they are not allowing any new offices to come in. In case of liaison and existing have to close down. There is no permission granted for extension to NBFC sector and construction sector. This is the SEZ. The only exception in SEZ is difference is you can do manufacturing activity as a branch. The general permission is there to establish it provided there is 100% FDI. Basically, it's a very easy process to promote the SEZ unit. Simply on having formed, you just open a bank account after getting permission. ROC, the new form under New Companies Act is FC1. Earlier we had form 44, which we used to file with ROC within 30 days. Now it is FC1, you have to file in 30 days. Apply for digital signature and normal compliances. Few registrations are there, which is for few are for liaison office and few are for project branch offices. What is marked star are applicable to branch offices because they are going to do business in India. Others are mainly applicable for liaison office. Okay, anything on branch and liaison, because we move over to now the last part of the presentation, which is the project office.
My question about the previous one, that ROC registration for
Yeah.
liaison office.
Okay.
Under which state? Respective state or only one state?
See, under for foreign companies, Part 11 of Companies Act, which is 592 to 602 is applicable under erstwhile Companies Act. Right? So under that, they say the nodal ROC is New Delhi. For every foreign company, nodal ROC is New Delhi. You have to register at only one place, which is ROC New Delhi. File this form FC1 for all the offices together at one place. So nodal office plus all your other additional offices. You file it with ROC FC1 in New Delhi. They will grant you the registration. And every year you file FC2 again at New Delhi only. There is no other ROC in India which monitors foreign companies except New Delhi. Yeah.
So the PAN card for LO and the HO has to be different, or you can have one PAN card?
No, it's very simple. How can it be different? It has to be one. See, the entity in India is the same foreign entity. The entity in India is not a separate legal entity. How can you have a separate PAN card?
But the thing is then what is happening is HO, the current case, the HO has direct transactions with certain parties.
That is the biggest problem right now.
So the
When you
PAN
go for closure or when you go for assessment of a LO, they see on form 26AS, there are transactions, and then it's a big issue of attribution and lot of issues, but you can't do something wrong or incorrect by taking two PAN numbers. That's a problem. Because see, I cannot say Ines Doshi in Delhi is different and Ines Doshi in Mumbai is different. We are same person. How can I have two PAN number, one in Delhi business for my office in Delhi? I can't have a separate PAN number.
No, she is referring to, let's say, Japan and Bombay.
No.
She is referring to Japan.
No. What she is referring, I have a license office in India.
So
Right?
what about
My head office is in Japan.
Yes.
It is doing some rental activity from Japan to an Indian company. 10% TDS is deducted. It shows in 26 years, and my officer says here LO is connected with that activity. So there is a problem, but you have to live with it. You have to show that LO was not connected with it. But it's a big issue, let me tell you
So
that.
then all the other ones, also TAN, VAT and all that number will be.
That is no problem. 10 is based on the city. I can have in one city also two 10 number, that's not a problem. But PAN number has to be one, there is no doubt about it. Okay, I think now we come to the project office part. How much time do we have? Aralman?
10 minutes.
Okay, maybe 5:15 is my time, is it okay? Okay, so now we come to the last part, the project office. This recently is the most active part, most active scenario where most foreign companies are using it for doing infrastructure job. What are the conditions? There is no permission required from RBI, just two conditions. One, you should secure a contract from an Indian company, which is Indian company means company which is incorporated in India, and second, there are four conditions. You comply with any one. The project is connected more with the project. The project is approved by somebody, the project is sanctioned by a bank. Any one, the first one is mandatory, and second, any one of the four. If you have it, there is no permission required. Simply you can go, this is called automatic actually, where you don't have to go to RBI. They call it general permission. And other than that, you need to go to RBI for a prior permission. For example, the project is given by a foreign company to you in India, right? Then you need to go to RBI to set up a project office. Or all the four conditions which you are mentioned in the second part are not being met. Then you go to RBI to do it. Or I had a case where French, government department wanted to develop some part of Pondicherry. Now we call Puducherry, and they had bid for a tender of Municipal Corporation of Puducherry. So they bid, they got the contract, and then they came to us that I want to open a project office. I said, but you are not permitted under general scheme. You will first apply to RBI, and the contract was of 1 year period. The RBI took 3 months time to sanction because it was a government department. It goes to Delhi Ministry of Finance to get approval. It took them 6 months to get the approval. They faced huge problem by paying LD, which is liquidated damages, for delaying the contract because they could not start, they could not open a bank account, they could not start the project office in India. So that's how they were not aware of it, and ultimately they paid a huge amount of penalty and project was delayed. Ultimately. Yeah.
Sir, can more than one project office be open for a single project?
Why you need more than one?
It's a big infrastructure project.
Right.
It needs 2 project offices for
No,
better.
how does it help you to open two? And in what way will it benefit you?
And just for the convenience of the.
No, you can open one project and one site office. Like for example, I can say my site is in a remote area in Maharashtra. So the
Right.
site will be called the site office. And my accounts team, finance team, commercial team, they are all in Bombay.
Right.
And I can have a Bombay as a project office, and a site office can be there for local compliance.
The site office is not a project office.
No, we call it different. Site is always a site office. Project office means overall managing the compliance.
So there are no restrictions to open site office.
Yeah, there's no problem. You can have two.
Too.
But you can't call both of them as a project office.
Okay.
One is a project office, one is a site office.
Okay.
Again, for do's and don'ts, it's almost similar to branch office. Only most critical point is the third point here, second and third. you cannot undertake any activity other than execution of this contract for which you open the project office. And second, cannot transfer funds. For example, I have 3 contracts in India, 3 different project offices. I have 50 crore in one account, 10 crore in other account, and I have a deficit of 50 crore in the third project office. I cannot simply do interchange transfer of funds. I cannot simply give loan to my other project office. Giving loan for transfer will amount to remittance outside India. So basically RBI does not permit unless and until there is a prior RBI approval for it. Each project will have a separate bank account and site office, no equity participation, and most critical part in PO is parking of funds. You cannot keep your fund for more than 6 months of term deposit. This is the biggest issue where huge in non-interest bearing money lie in current accounts and you can't do anything about it. Only one difference is in the post formation. In this case, after we have formed the project office, within 60 days, you need to file a report to RBI through your AD stating that I opened a project office at so and so location, site office at so and so location. The report mentions the client for whom the project is taken, all details about the contract is given in the report. So that's one difference in the project office. Registration are almost similar for a branch office and a liaison office. Now in case of a remittance of fund, for example, I have done a project in India, I need to remit money. You need a CA certificate to say that these are the funds which I have earned. I have enough money to pay my future liabilities. I have enough fund to take care of my post-closure liabilities. I filed a certificate in form 15CB given by a CA saying that all taxes are paid, undertaking that this remittance will not affect the project in any way. So basically it's more of a comfort situation that the project in India or the subcontractors, vendors, employees are not affected because of this remittance. That's the precaution taken by RBI. And secondly, compliance of taxes and statutory clearances. Yeah.
The first point, that CS certificate that sufficient provisions are made to meet liabilities in India, including income tax, etc.
Right.
We as profession, how do we ensure our safety while issuing this certificate? Especially because these are all foreign companies, we don't know their position and all.
I will tell you my experience. What we are doing is that we see based on the current tax assessments and the returns filed for the client till date. So based on that, if there are no liabilities, we simply write in the certificate based on the documents, income tax returns and assessments which are in force, there is no income tax liability. So with that caveat, you can issue the certificate. You cannot know what is going to happen in future. You say based on the current available documents. Anybody has any other experience can share maybe on this certificate. But I think this is the best way.
So,
Yeah.
you said that only one project office can be opened, but in the slide 30, you mentioned that each project will have
Yeah,
separate bank account.
correct. What it means that a company can take several projects in India. Right? For example, I bid for a contract with IOCL, one contract I have with say Reliance Industries, one contract I have with Delhi Metro. Right? These are all different locations, different projects I have taken in India. Each project to have one project office. I cannot have one project office monitoring all the contracts in India. That's not permitted. Even different bank accounts for every project. My Delhi Metro project bank account will be different. My Mumbai Metro bank account will be different. I cannot transfer interstate funds also without RBI permission. That's what it means. Okay, and as regards winding up, on the closure part, it's almost a very Herculean task. Let me tell you, earlier it was very easy because they were asking for a CA certificate saying that please confirm that there is no tax liability, and based on CA certificate the liaison and branch offices were closed. But recent trend is they want only income tax certificate. Income tax certificate is almost impossible in most of the liaison cases and branch office. They want to attribute, they want to know your last 5 years activity, and when they go through it, they find something or the other, and they will say, no, why this income was not taxable? I would like to reopen your assessment under either 148 or 263 or something. So this being a huge issue, specifically for winding up. After RBI has amended that CA certificate is not valid, but you need compulsory income tax certificate. Now referring to the first part, NOC.
What would be the fate? That, see, basically, the renewals are there for 3 years. The renewals are there every 3 years.
Right.
Now, at the end of 3 years, if it is not renewed, you cannot technically undertake any further activity.
Right.
So, would that not amount to deemed closure?
No. Deemed closure means finally ROC has given you certificate for closure. That is called as a closure. Deemed, there is nothing like deemed closure actually. You will get a notice from ROC. You will get it because you have filed form 44 earlier, and now FIC1, list of all your directors and people are there in that form. They will send a notice, you are still operational in India. Only it's an administrative lapse which is there, but you are still operational in India.
No, technically,
Because see, you may apply after 3 months, you can again apply. Suppose you have forgotten by mistake, by oversight, and you may apply in June, it has left in March. You can apply in June saying that I would like to extend it. RBI will give you permission. That doesn't mean you have to again file fresh form FNC because the date is over 31st March. But strictly it is not closed. Otherwise winding up regulation would not be there. It is best way. No, there is no section like expatriates. There is no section where you file form 230 or that form is there. In income tax, a normal income tax assessment letter saying no due certificate has to be given, addressed to Registrar of Companies or Ministry of Corporate Affairs. It's very, very difficult. In most cases, we have got few cases, but they have taken a very, very strictly worded indemnity bond saying that within any time, if we want to reopen, somebody will be there to receive our notice, somebody will be there to comply with the documents. If we issue form 148, who is there to receive our notice? All those things they have put in the indemnity bond, signed by the chairman or CEO of the company, and then they have given. By the AO, assessing officer. So the first part, income tax clearance certificate, is the most difficult part during the winding up part.
Jurisdiction of income tax office is Delhi?
No, wherever you are assessed, wherever is your project office and wherever you are assessed for LO, PO and PO. If I have 4 offices where you have chosen to file your income tax return, who does your assessment is the one who gives you the tax clearance certificate. Yeah.
At the end of the 3rd year, if I want to close the LO, but it takes 3-4 months to close the LO. So they provide some extension for 3 months.
There is no action required. You simply file a letter with RBI that I am in the process of closure and we will file new documents.
But for that 3 months, I don't have to comply with the
Nothing,
AAC or something.
nothing. We have already applied for closure and you have to mention within short time we are complying with all the
So my
documents.
letter would be from the date.
Yeah, you have to file to your AD will file it to RBI. Further. I think this slide we will skip because it is just a simple comparison of all the 3 status, liaison, branch and project office. This is very detailed summary is given, differences between all 3 of them. I need not mention it, it's very clear actually. I think I'll touch upon only 2 things now. One is on the FRRO, DGP and Form 49C. Every DGP is the first one. Recently, it was not there earlier, but last 2-3 years we have been facing where the local police, there have been few